Welcome on the Ethereal Advisors podcast, Randy. Welcome on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to having a lot of fun
Yeah,
today.
for the audience, can you just introduce yourself briefly, shortly? What do you do?
Randy Crabtree is my name. I am a CPA. We have a firm called Trimerit, which we do tax credits and incentives. I've been part of this industry for a long time, and my roles kind of evolved that I just get to go out and meet cool people like you and talk about the fun things in the profession. So that's pretty much where I've spent my days this time of year, or I guess all year long, is just being at conferences, talking about the things I'm passionate about and things I think will help the profession.
Before going into the professional questions and all, I want to know about your journey. How did you start? How was the schooling day like, college day like? How did you get into CPA?
Yeah, that's a long story actually, but you can cut me off whenever you want, but I'll go into it real
Yeah,
quick.
yeah.
I'll make it fairly short. I actually went to school undergrad for computer science, and that was my degree. And I was out. I only had one accounting class undergrad, and I remember liking it a lot. But I was out as a computer programmer, and a year of that, I decided that wasn't what I enjoyed. Um, I'm never afraid to make change. I'm never afraid to like maybe take on what might some people might think is a risk. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to go into sales, which I was not equipped to go into sales. But I changed roles from computer programming to sales. A year into that, I realized that that was the wrong choice. And I just had this aha moment that I should have been a CPA. It just like out of the blue, it just came to me. I should have been a CPA. And so I was actually driving down a road in the Chicago suburbs. This was a long time ago. So I pulled off the road and got to a phone booth because we didn't have cell phones back then. I called my wife and I said, "Hey, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to go back to school full time. I'm going to be a CPA. And, 4 years after I'm out working, I'm going to start my own firm." Like this all came to me in this drive.
Interesting.
I'm sure she was in a little shock. Like, what are you talking about? What's going on here? What's your plan? But got home that night, we discussed it, and that's the game plan we came up with. She would, we would live off her salary for as long as it took me to get enough hours to sit for the exam, and that ended up being 2 semesters and a summer, and the rest is history. Took the exam 2 times, passed it, started working for someone else. 3.5 years after I started working for someone else, I started my own firm.
And why did you start your own firm? Were you clear from when you were doing CPA that I want to be an entrepreneur, or
Yeah,
well,
entrepreneurial mindset, I guess, has always been with me. I actually started my first business when I was 16 years old. It was a window washing company. I was hiring my high school friends. They were making 3 times minimum wage, and I was probably making, 20 times minimum wage. And it was a lot of fun. Fun's been a part of everything I do. If it's not fun, I want to try something different. And we were having a lot of fun, and people wanted us. We had a service that was in need, and so yeah, I think it's just this. I think I'm a bad employee. And so, rather than be a bad employee, I thought, well, maybe I could be a good owner, a good entrepreneur. And there was journeys that I've gone through with that, where I've had a lot of learnings along the way, where I realized where I am good and where I'm not good, and it's something that I think we all need to look at internally and see what makes us tick, what we enjoy.
even I feel when I was working full time, right, that I'm a bad employee, but I can be a good entrepreneur,
Yeah.
is what I realized. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And it's probably a combination of both. I think I'm not really good at. I think I wasn't very good at people directing me. Here's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Here's when you need to do it. Here's how you need to do it, because I wanted freedom to do it myself. And I think that's important. I think that's important for anybody to not be micromanaged. There was one firm I was micromanaged at, and it was awful. There was another
Yeah.
firm I was not micromanaged at, and those two partners that ran that firm are, they're in their 70s now, but they're still friends of mine. I don't see them often, but every other year or so I stop in and say hi to them.
Now you have started Trimerit. How was that story? How did you start? You can talk about the journey of starting that.
Yeah. So before Trimerit, like we just said, I had my
Yeah.
generalist firm. So I
Okay.
was helping everybody. I was probably like a normal accounting, bookkeeping, CPA mindset is we want to help everybody. That's what we want to do. So I was helping every type of industry, doctors and lawyers and fast food restaurants and hair salons and construction companies and all of these. And then on top of businesses, I was doing, I don't know, 800 1040s or some crazy number like that. And so it just got to be too much. I got overwhelmed. I was dealing with burnout. I didn't know it. I just thought it was 15 years of crazy tax season, and this is just how it has to be, which it doesn't. And so I got to a point where I didn't even recognize it was burnout on me. I didn't know that's what I was going through. What I realized is that my kids were being affected during tax season. They acted different, and our kids are perfect. And I'm not kidding. But during tax season, my wife would tell me stories that like they would start acting up and that. And so I thought my only solution was to sell my firm and do something different. I know now that's not the solution, and I'm not telling
Yeah.
anybody to do that because there are so many things you can do to change. But for me, it ended up being a positive because research and development tax credits found me. That's how we started Trimerit, was with research and development tax credits.
Yeah.
We do a bunch of other things now, but they found me. And it just this like that light bulb moment, that aha moment, I should be a CPA. I had this other aha moment. I can have a niche business. I can specialize in just one thing, and I can become really good at that, and I can let that passion show through that we're there to help people. And it just got so exciting to me. So when I found out about this, it wasn't a secret. A lot of people knew it. I just didn't know you could be
Yeah.
this niche practice. I never even thought that way. When that happened, it's just my passion showed through. It was like, I love what I'm doing. This is amazing, and look what we're doing, and we're helping people, and we're giving them money. We find money for them and through these incentives, and so that's how we started. It just kind of was I saw an opportunity. I thought I could do this because again, I'm not I'm pretty confident, and I don't see risk, which is sometimes a problem, but I don't really see risk. I just see the opportunity, and the opportunity seemed like it was there, and it just seemed like something that would really change the way that I worked, which was, the nonstop 80 hours, 100 hours a week, 7 days a week during tax season. I couldn't do that anymore. And this felt like a different thing. And so that's where Trimerit came from. And it's evolved over the years, but that's where it came from.
How long have you been running this?
Well, we've been around for 18 years now. I was managing partner for the first 10, so technically I'm not running it anymore. But
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was it.
yeah.
Yep,
What are your key learnings while running this business for almost 18 years? If you can just crisply tell in 2 or 3 points.
yep. Oh, you're trying to shrink my time now, huh? 2 or 3 points. No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
I don't mind going to 10 points. I don't mind. It's better for me.
Hey, we're having fun today, so we'll see. There's some really key learnings. The biggest is I am an entrepreneur. I learned that. I'm not passionate about running businesses. I'm passionate about starting them. I'm passionate about the people at the business. I am not a KPI and process and procedure and integrating EOS and all that. That is not my skill set. It's not my passion. I think it's important. And so one of the key learnings for me was I'm not defined by the title managing partner. It took me a long time to realize it because, and I think we have this as entrepreneurs in general, as people in the accounting profession. Well, we started this business. We have to run this business. No, find the people that have that passion, the
Yeah.
people that have those skills, that can do the processes, that can integrate all these cool technologies and everything into it. doesn't mean you're anything less. It just means you're going to go follow what is important to you, what you're passionate about, where your skills lie. So for me, that was probably one of the, at least in business, biggest learnings of my life. And it took me 54 years to figure that out. But that was number one. I can go into a few
Yeah.
more if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was it. The other one that I just think is so important is we've heard often, hey, we're a customer centric firm. The client comes first, the customer comes first. And what I found over time, and I really found this over with Trimerit, and we're 80 people in Trimerit now, so we have a significant employee base to see, to learn from. What I found is that when you treat your employees as they're the most important thing in the organization, then the clients are served even better. And so creating a people
Yeah.
first culture, that was a huge learning. But that, I mean, when you lean into that, I don't think you can be stopped. So I'll stop at 2 there unless you want me to expand
Yeah.
on any more.
From being a managing partner to now into external facing roles like becoming a podcaster, speaking events. Why did you do it? I'm just curious.
Oh, well, that's so the why. There's a couple of ways to look at this. It ended up being the best role for me possible. It changed my life, what
Okay.
I'm doing now. But going backwards, the why I did it was, one, because I realized managing partner wasn't my skill set. But I realized managing partner wasn't my skill set because 11 years ago I had a stroke. And after that stroke, I struggled mentally for about 4.5 years, 5 years, and my brain was playing tricks on me. My brain was telling me these lies, and I was listening to my brain. And finally, I came out of that. And so, what I did was, when I came out of that, I looked at everything through a different lens. When I had this mental clarity again, I like, okay, have I been allowing my brain to play tricks on me my entire life? What else is my brain saying that's wrong? And one of them was, you're not defined by you. My brain was telling me I'm defined by the title managing partner. What I realized was I'm not. And so that's where I
Yeah.
changed that role from managing partner. And that was a key moment in my continued growth as a person. And when I did that, I didn't know what was next. I just knew that wasn't it. So again, I kind of went into the future not knowing what my role was. Am I going to be with Trimerit in 2 years, in 3 years? I didn't know, because is there a spot for me in that position, in that organization? But I just started leaning into, what do I like? What are my passions? Where are my skill set? And the podcast, because I think you asked about the podcast. The podcast was not even an idea I had. The podcast came from our marketing department. They came to me, and they said, "Hey, we're going to start a podcast." And I'm like, "Oh, that's great." And you're going to host it. What? I'm going to host a podcast? What are you talking about? I'm not hosting a podcast. But I stood back and I analyzed it. I didn't let my brain jump in the way. I did for that instant, and then I said, "Okay, let's think about this. Maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. Maybe this is that next fork in my path that I'm supposed to follow, and I've got to be open to that." You have moments in your life every single day that are going to impact your future, and this ended up being one of those key moments. And so I looked at it and I said, "Yeah, I'll do it, but we're not going to talk about R&D tax credits. I mean, I'll get bored with
Yeah.
that. I don't want to do that." We'll talk about it occasionally, barely. We've barely touched on. We've got about 230 episodes out right now. And what I had done at that point, this was the end of 2019. I had started to lean into this speaking. I was out educating, but I was speaking in the profession. And I just started hearing all these really cool stories that people had in this profession. the way they were being innovative, the way they were doing things better, the way they were, in 2019, even before the pandemic, the way that they were working remotely, the way they were integrating technology, the way that they were treating employees, the way they were pricing. I thought, that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about these everybody's story and what they're doing. And if their story can help someone else in this profession, that's what I want to do. And so that's where the podcast came out of. Is wasn't even my idea, but I allowed myself to be open to the opportunity, and man, am
Yeah.
I glad I did, because it's been such a fun ride.
From the networking perspective, right, what change do you see in your professional journey after becoming a podcaster?
Uh, so there's a few things. One, I just lean in big time for my professional journey, but for others is lean into what you love. Find what
Yeah.
you love in this in life. Find what you love in this profession. Hopefully, somehow you can integrate those two things even. And so the podcast has just given me so many opportunities to talk to amazing people, and I found that we don't have to be this. We're too often, this profession is the Sally method, same as last year. Let's just keep going. Let's do the same. Consistency, so important. And when I started seeing this, I seen everybody else doing things differently, or not everybody, but some people doing things differently. It just opened me up to doing it myself as well. And so, you know, can somebody who is just out talking about mental health awareness and people first culture and the importance of vulnerability, is that actually have a sales role or anything within our business? No. But what it has done is it has given us, you know, credibility. People are like, wow, Trimerit does this. Look what Randy's out talking about. They love this profession. They help this profession. And so I realized that I don't have to be talking about tax credits to have an impact on this profession. I don't have to help everybody
Yeah.
with
Correct.
that. And so that that evolved me to realize that I can just be who I am. I can just be this person that has this passion. I have a personal mission of having a positive impact on people in the accounting profession. I have a positive impact on the lives of people in the accounting profession by inspiring change. So it really comes down to, hey, I changed. It's had such a positive impact on me. Can I inspire you to look at something different, to follow a different path, stay in the profession, but follow a different path? And so that's how I've really evolved, is just the mindset I have of looking at ways things we go forward.
Got it. Got it. If you would like to advise young CPAs on building soft skills, right, what would the top three skills would be that can help them grow professionally?
Well, I would say the number one skill, and this is something I talk about a lot right now because I'm super passionate about it, is vulnerability.
Okay.
Not now, if you're brand new, there's a lot of fear
Yeah.
in being vulnerable, because hey, I've got bosses that are, they're showing that they know all the answers, that they don't ever show a sign of weakness, that they don't ask for help because they know everything. They're stoic, they're strong. Believe me, underneath there's a lot of questions in their mind. There's a lot of I don't know this. There's a lot of I need helps. And I think that's a skill, even if you have a hard time doing it at the beginning. That's one of the most important skills you can have, is being a vulnerable person, being a vulnerable leader. There's a difference between vulnerable and vulnerable leadership. You know, I can be vulnerable and, going back to my stroke, I'm having a stroke. Wow. Okay. I'm just vulnerable right there. Yeah. I'm just telling somebody in the moment it was happening. But now I say, I'm having a stroke and you have to get me to the hospital. Well, now, I'm showing I can't do this myself. That's an example, but more, not hopefully not everybody's gonna have a stroke. You're working on a project and I made a mistake. All right, I'm vulnerable. Or I'm working on a project. Now I say I made a mistake and here's what I learned from it. Now it's vulnerable leadership. And this is something I learned from Jacob Morgan, who wrote this book, um, uh, uh, Leading with Vulnerability. And so that's one thing I would tell them. Do you lean into that skill? Two, you just have to be able to communicate. I mean, that is just something. I was not a communicator. I avoided speech class in school. I was okay talking to people, but I was not. It was just more of a, hey, if it's important to say something, I'll say something, which is fine. But communication skills, that's going to be probably what's going to differentiate you going forward in the future, especially with the way things are evolving in the profession. So communication, but then really going back to vulnerability, empathy is another skill. I mean, that's another one. Just understanding that other people are going through something, other people are dealing with something, other people, are looking for help. But when you're an empathetic leader, my friend of mine, Don Brolin, just wrote a book on being an empathetic leader. I would highly recommend people get that, and I got to write the foreword to it, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll let us the link. Yeah.
All right. So empathy, understanding that there's other things people are going through, and when you're an empathetic leader, Don's much better at this than I am. But it doesn't necessarily mean having an immediate answer, because in the profession as an accountant, we want to have the answers. Sometimes it's just a matter of listening. So having good listening skills, not being afraid to ask for help, and being able to communicate. I think those are three very important skills.
Okay. So the skills directly relate to when CPAs are dealing with their employees or they're communicating with their clients or building a relationship there, right? So still so many CPAs are good at it, but somehow they miss something when it's about relationship building, being in touch regularly with their clients or being empathetic towards their employees. So what do you think about this?
Yeah, it's. Can you rephrase the question just so I make sure I answer? Because I'll just answer anything that I think you ask me. So let's go.
So yeah, so many CPAs have that skills, but they still don't focus on relationship building
Oh yeah.
with their clients.
Okay. I love that question. I love that question. Um, because relationships, so I do a survey in the profession. It's called the Accountant's Professional Satisfaction Survey. We find out what creates satisfaction levels in the profession and what helps people, want to stay in this profession, which is an important thing. One of the second highest positive satisfaction creator in this profession is when I'm working in an organization where I feel I'm known on a personal level by the people I work with. That right there creates satisfaction levels through the roof. Like 78% of people who answered that they felt that was something that happened in their organization were highly satisfied with their careers. And so it's I see these, I've done these, I've talked to people where they say, yeah, I don't want people to know me at work. I just want to sit at my desk, I want to get my work done, and then I'm going to go home, and that's who I'm at. That's just I think, backwards thinking, because you are way more satisfied when people know you. You are happier. There's a stat out there that shows 96% of people, and I think I have this right, who indicate they have 3 close friends at work are happier with their lives. I mean,
Okay.
96%, they're happier because they indicate they have 3 close friends at work. How can that even be more important? It doesn't even, it's job related. Sure, you're going to be better at what you do because you're going to enjoy hanging out with the people you work with, but it makes you more satisfied with your life. That alone shows the importance of getting to be open, to be vulnerable, to getting to know people you work with.
What about the relation with the client?
So it's the same way. I think so. What I look at everything, I look at everybody that I'm dealing with, whether I'm out, speaking to a crowd of, a couple hundred people, or I'm talking one on one with a client, or you and I are hanging out in a room. Is I'm just there with my friends. I'm just there with the people I enjoy being part of. And if you look at things that way, that relationship with the client, if they know you're passionate about what they're doing, if they know that you're interested in hearing what's going on with them. Here's another stat. All it takes is 40 seconds of true interaction a day, 40 seconds with somebody for that person to feel valued. And so what's that?
Uh,
Okay, I can go into the office and I can say, "Hey, did you get that tax credit work done? Did we get those billing out the door? Did we do this?" That's not true interaction. That's just
yeah.
what we do. If I go into the office and I say, hey, Nick, how the kids doing? I know your daughter's in a cheerleading squad right now. I know they had a competition. How did that
Yeah.
go? Oh, I remember. I forgot you went to Disney World last week. Did you have fun? Did the kids enjoy it? Tell me about it. That's true interaction. Now all of a sudden, Nick feels valued, and I'm using Nick as a real person. Those are things I know about Nick and his family. Nick will feel valued because I have taken a interest in who he is personally. That you can't beat that.
Similarly, I'm trying to touch all the aspects that CPA deal with when it comes to the soft skills part, right?
Yep.
So one of the important aspect is also objection handling, right? When they're dealing with the client at a professional level, right? So if you can guide or if you can share some insight on that, I'll be grateful.
Yeah, this is something I am not probably the best at, objection
Yeah.
handling, because I want to please everybody. Um, but just being honest with people, I
Mm.
think, is an important thing. Being, hey, if somebody, let's just do it this way. If I have a client that calls somebody that I work with and starts complaining to them, well, I'm going to say this is just not appropriate behavior. This is not the way we treat. This is where we are. Hey, we really want to help you. We're there on your behalf. I know you have an issue with this. Let's just talk it over more professionally. Let's talk it up even better. Let's talk it more of a level of, hey, we're friends here. Let's figure out what's going on. If you think there's something wrong, we want to see if there's something we can do different and change it. But coming out and barking orders at us that we're doing
Yeah.
something wrong, that's not the way to do it. And if it can't be resolved in those situations, I'm of the mindset of the people I work with are more important than the clients. Sure, the clients, pay us, but we don't get the work done unless it's the people we work with. So if that's the situation and we can't get it resolved, I'm of the mindset we part ways with that client. That doesn't happen often, but I think that's an important aspect to dealing with conflict. Let's call it conflict. There's an objection. It's not always going to be conflict. Hey, the bill was supposed to be 12 grand and you billed me 13. Oh, sorry, we made a mistake. We'll fix it. Oh, vulnerability just came in. We made a mistake. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that this happened to you. We'll fix it. But if it's not, if it's something different, it's just you can't let that fester, because things like that. Oh, in our survey, one of the biggest things, and I'm going on a tangent here, but I can't help
Yeah.
myself. One of
Yeah.
the
Please
one
go
of
on.
the biggest satisfaction creators is when the your company, your organization had your back when dealing with these types of situations. When we had that, satisfaction levels went through the roof. When we didn't have that,
Okay.
satisfaction levels were awful. And so that's why, again, I always go back to our people are the most important thing. And we will do what we can to nicely resolve any conflict that we may have with the client. But if we can't, it's the client gone, not the employee, who's going to suffer.
On an advice level, right? If some young CPA is just starting out, what advice would you give them? One is niche. I know that. Apart from that, what that would be?
Yeah, so yeah, niche, although I say niche, but
Uh,
I think more people say niche like you, so I agree.
yeah.
So that's, yeah, we won't go into that one.
Yeah.
But it is what we talked about earlier. It is just analyzing what you're doing on a day-to-day basis and find the things that bring you joy, find the things that you're passionate about, and then lean into those. I have a simple Excel spreadsheet that a friend of mine, Sean Duncan, originally turned me on to this. And I have asked everybody in our organization to do it. We're still working on that. It won't happen unless there's vulnerable leadership within an organization, but this spreadsheet is, and it's basically finding your passion, finding what you love to do, and
Right.
finding what you're good at. And on the left hand column, you just list all the tasks you work on. The next two columns, you put love it or hate it. And then you check one of those. The next two columns are good at, bad at. You check one of those two columns. And then you have a list of, hey, here's things that I love and things that I'm good at. Well, that's probably where I want to try to concentrate my time. And as someone coming into the profession, you're not going to be feel comfortable doing this unless your leadership does it. But if you just do it yourself, you can talk to your supervisor, your manager, and say, "Hey, these are the areas that I'm really good at, and I'm really passionate about, and I know my passion will show through when I concentrate on these." And try to evolve your career in that path. If there's things that you're bad at and you don't like, well, I mean, yeah, it's hard to say to somebody that's your boss, I'm not good at this, but it's an area where if you have the opportunity, you should talk about, hey, this is something that, you know, Sally really loves these things, because if Sally did this too and she found that she loves and is good at the things that you're bad and don't like and hate, then you try to integrate those into people. So as someone coming in, it's hard to do unless your leadership is open to you making suggestions, and I think that's important. So that's one of the biggest things. If you can't feel you can do it with the people you work with and share that, at least you know these are the things that bring me joy. These, man, I use bring me joy a lot. That's a joyful day today. These are the areas I really like spending my time. And then just do anything you can to start to lean into those. Because if you enjoy what you're doing, it's never going to feel like work. And that's where I'm at right now. I don't work. I mean, that's what I feel like. I just did get to go out and have a great time talking with people, like, again, you and I. This is amazing to me that I get to
Yeah.
sit here and talk with you today. So that's one of the biggest things, and then just do everything you possibly can to lean into those things.
AI has been a lot talked about since last 2 to 3 years, right? So, what's your overall opinion on that? What do you think about that? Do you currently use it in your firm? And how do you see the future of it?
Yep. So yes, we're starting to integrate it into our firm. I personally use it all the time. I mean, but not just more from a ChatGPT or a Claude or a beautiful AI or these things that are going to help me put presentations together. It is something that I lean into all the time. So from a business, from a profession standpoint, um, if we put our head in the sand and think I don't have to worry about this because I'm just going to keep doing my work as is, we're going to get passed by because it's happening, whether we want it to or not. And I think it's good. I think this is going to be such a positive for our profession. But what it's going to do is it's going to, is that the word, homogenize? It's basically everybody's going to be able to offer the same product in the end from a, like, say, a financial statement standpoint or even a tax return standpoint. So what's going to, which is great, which is fine, because we're going to have automation doing this, and it's going to get that out of our hands. I personally don't like keying in data or anything like that. Whatever. What's going to happen now is we're going to differentiate ourselves in this profession by what you and I talked about earlier, our soft skills. That's that, and really, that's what we're like right now too. I mean, sure, I can talk about R&D tax credits all day long. Am I the greatest R&D tax credit expert in the world? I might be up there, but there's someone else that's going to have the same level, and there's plenty of people that are going to have a higher level of technical skill than I. So what's going to differentiate me right now? The passion that I talk about things, the passion that comes through when I talk about research into all the tax credits and how important that is and how that can help you, or whatever incentive we're working with. And so as AI comes in and automates everything, and it will automate all the compliance type stuff. It's going to happen. It's just, whether it's tomorrow or if it's 5 years from now, it's going to happen. And so if you're new in this profession or you're going to be around this profession for a while still, those soft skills is really, really, really where you need to lean in, because that's the only thing that's going to differentiate you. Your ability to communicate, your ability to advise, your ability to be passionate about what your client's future is.
All the CPAs who provide services, right? So at a service level, the work is same, right? I can't differentiate at service level. I can differentiate at relationship level or some other level, right? So how do I stand out? How do I build my own unique value or brand?
Yeah, that's because I never set out to do this. I never set out, and somehow I have a unique brand, apparently. I mean,
Exactly.
But I never set out to. And I think if you force it,
Okay.
it's hard to do. If you just, and I use this word a couple times today, if you just let your passion show through, it's going to evolve. It's going to happen. Social media is a great place to do it, but there's could be so much stuff on social media that's just that I've seen that before. That's done again. Differentiate yourself the way you do it. Find something, for me, and that again, I didn't even do this on purpose, but for me, it started only because I wanted to help other people. It started with the mental health awareness and burnout in this profession and what's going on and what's changing. And just by being out there talking about this, that alone was a big difference. So find that thing that will differentiate you, but you can't force it. You cannot,
Okay.
hey, I'm going to try to be the best at whatever, talking about how it's good to hire your college roommates. I mean, whatever, because I mean, if that's not a passion of yours, that's not going to show
Yeah.
through. So it has to be something you really enjoy, something you're really passionate about, something you really. And so the one thing to lean into that, and it took me a long time to do this, is I think it helps to find a mission statement for yourself. Find something, whether it's in your personal life, and I think both is important, or if it's in your business life. Just write one. You can have ChatGPT help you with it. Once ChatGPT knows everything about you, it'll actually tell you what your mission is.
Yeah.
And so that's where I got going back and forth with ChatGPT for, a morning we came up with, my mission is to have a positive impact on the lives of people in the accounting profession by inspiring change. That's what I think about all the time. And so if I can lean into that, and that's what I'm passionate about, ChatGPT knew I was passionate about that. That's what happened. So yes, get it out there, get your passion out there, let it shine through, but it has to be real. It has to be authentic. It can't be forced.
What's your opinion on outsourcing and offshoring industry?
I actually think it's very important. This is an area where we are right now, in the last 3 years, we've lost 300,000 accountants out of the profession. We have 75% of the CPAs are going to be retiring in the next 13 years, and a majority of that in the next 5 years. We've had a 20% drop in enrollment since about 2018 in accounting. We've had when people come, I'm just throwing stats at you left and right here. When people come into the profession, I think 22% leave after 1 year, and 41% leave after 3 years. Leave the profession, leave public accounting, or bookkeeping, or whatever, accounting in general. And with all those numbers going against us, what we're going to need to do is find ways to be better, be more efficient, and we can do that through technology, outsourcing. It's automation, delegation, elimination. We also need to not realize we can't help everybody, but outsourcing is one of the key pillars in helping us get the work done that we're not going to be able to do with the staff we used to have, because the staff we used to have isn't around. One last thing on
Yeah.
that, though. I think it's important. I think it's never going to go away. I think outsourcing is, I mean, really, Trimerit's an outsource partner. I mean, for CPA firms, we bring opportunities to our clients. What is going to happen, though, I think we are going to see Gen Z upping the enrollment in accounting, and we saw an uptick this last fall. I think there was a 12%
Yeah.
increase in accounting enrollment. There was only, but there was in graduate, there still was an uptake there too, but I think it was like 2 or 3%. And Gen Z is going to be, I think, an important cog in the accounting profession going forward. But outsourcing is that, if not more important than that as well.
Because the opinion on the outsourcing is so varying among everyone, right? So some don't want to do it. Some feels there's a data security issue. Some,
Yeah, but it's been there forever. I mean, what, Deloitte's
yeah,
been
yeah,
doing it for how many years? I mean, Deloitte, I think, kind of knows what they're doing. They've been in business for a while, and I pick them. Whatever, the Big Four has been doing this for a while. It's not a new thing. It's just that all of a sudden, smaller firms are starting to realize that this is an opportunity, and that's where that just goes back to the fear of change. Sometimes we just fear change because we don't think we can control it, and we just have to embrace it, because that change, that pain that we perceive we're going to feel for a change is not even existent. And if it is, it's this small. But the gain from doing it is just outrageously large. But our brains are wired just to see that short term, this could be painful, even though it's not, could be painful. And we don't see that long term opportunity. That's where we have to analyze, we have to rethink, we have to, when we have this instant reaction of, oh no, I can't do that. Well, why? Let's talk about it. Let's figure this out. Is it going to help you? What's the drawbacks? And you're going to analyze this. You're going to find out, yes, this is going to be so beneficial for us.
What do you think about the economy, current state of US economy?
Um, you know, here's what I've done in the past. One, I can't predict anything.
Okay.
At times I get nervous. At times I have in the past. I've gotten nervous about this or that. I've looked at what Congress is doing, and I'm like, okay, what's going to happen? I try to guess there. Right now, it is such a waste of my mental effort to worry about it, that I just want to be happy and have fun, and I'll just deal with whatever comes, and I'll be
Yeah.
ready for it. And so, there's been times where I've been watching votes on Congress and what's tax code going to happen and what's next, and it's just like, no, that's not worth my time. Sure, I should be informed of there's change coming, whether it's economy or whether it's taxes or whether it's whatever it is in general. But man, we are resilient people in general. We are a resilient world. And what we're going to do is we're going to deal with whatever comes next. If the economy takes a hit, we're going to deal with it. Is it going to be permanent? No, we're going to get through it. Whatever comes going to, be the end of us all? It hasn't happened yet, so I'm not expecting it to happen now.
We are almost now on the end of the questions. Just last one or two questions. Can you suggest some good resources for the young CPAs who are into the practice? It can be books or podcasts or anything.
Yeah, so for me, it's again going back to the soft skills. And so that's where I've concentrated. And so traditionally, I haven't read a lot of books on business or self-help
Yeah.
or anything. It's just not something I've done. I have started to do that in the last, 5 years or so, but I'm that not that many books into it. But the things that will, I think, tie into the discussion that we've had so far, the very first book that had the biggest impact on me to start with was Simon Sinek's The Infinite Game, and just looking at business different. This is not a game. It's not winners or losers. It is more about, let's just do the best we can for whoever we
Yeah.
want to do this. So I couldn't recommend that enough. The Simon Sinek, The Infinite Game. I mentioned earlier Jacob Morgan's book, Leading with Vulnerability. Very good book. Uh, Vulnerable leadership. We didn't even get into that from a standpoint of how impactful that is to an organization, but I don't think anything has a bigger impact on an organization than vulnerable leadership. So, Jacob Morgan's book. I just finished David Coyle, Culture Code, The Culture Code. He talks about vulnerability in there as well, but just the creating this positive culture within an organization and how impactful that is. And that's a passion of mine as well. Those three. And then I mentioned Don Brolin earlier, my friend, the
Yeah.
empathetic leadership. That one I would highly recommend. And one book that I probably talk about more than any other book, a friend of mine wrote it, John Garrett, and it's What's Your And? And
Okay.
John's whole thesis is, hey, I'm a CPA and I love hiking. I'm a CPA and I'm a craft beer enthusiast. I'm a CPA and family is the most important thing to me. Those things are my ands. That defines who I am. CPA is a big part of me, obviously, but I am not just a CPA. I am all these other things. And if
Yeah.
we get to know everybody else's ands, other things, that goes back to where we talked about before, creating these friendships at work, creating the feeling valued at work. So John Garrett's What's Your And? Those five, I think I listed five books. Those five are nothing about tax, accounting, bookkeeping,
Yeah.
but those books I think will take you further than anything else.
I also feel it's so important to not have your identity attached to the work that you are doing.
Yep.
Otherwise, once the work goes away, you don't have your own self-identity.
That is a great point. I know many people. I have a good friend that is in this profession that actually, everybody probably knows this person, and we've talked before, and he was saying, Randy, how much longer you think you're going to do this? And I'm 63. I think he's 65 or something. And I said, well, as long as I'm having fun, I will. I'll probably slow down in the next couple of years, but I just enjoy it so much. But I have, my wife and I love hiking. We love all these other things, and we have uh, our first grandkid on the way this year. So those types of things are super
Congratulations.
exciting. And then I asked him, and he said, "Oh, this is all I got. This I don't have anything else, so I'm just going to keep doing this forever," which is great. He loves it, but man, I know he has other things. I know he has family. I know he has all these things, but he's passionate about the profession. But you have to, if you don't have a, hobby, if you don't have an outside of work passion, you really need to hone that because what you just said is exactly right. People retire without a what's next plan. They just don't have it. And what's next is going to be you're going to sit on the couch and watch TV and get fat and then die. I mean, I don't mean it like that, but yes, if you
Yeah.
don't have something, you have to. I mean, if you're identified with your role, you don't have that, you need to have it.
So the final question, what one piece of advice would you have for all the young CPAs who are in the practice?
Um, the one piece of advice is don't regret anything.
Yeah.
That's a motto I've had from day one. Sure, I've made mistakes, but you learn from them. Don't be afraid to
Yeah.
make mistakes. Don't regret it, but learn from it and go forward and have that path. In my mind right now, I just see all these little paths with forks in the road that happen. And sure, you may make the wrong turn, well, don't dwell on that. Correct it and then just go another direction. So don't have any regrets and don't be afraid to try things because without trying something new, you're just going to get to this static spot where I'm just a dull, everything the same. And so, yeah, regrets are bad, mistakes are good. Learn from the mistakes and move forward.
That was amazing. Thank you so much for doing this with us, Randy. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. This was a lot of fun.